This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good yawning this morning. Good morning and welcome back to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Your station for fresh news, smart talk all day. I've got two sets of guests in studio this morning. The first set of guests, we're going to be talking about St. Barnabas, their 95th celebration of establishment in the country, and an event they have coming up this Sunday, June the 2nd, 2024, an evening of heavenly music. So we're going to talk a bit about that. And then, in the next side of the show, I have Mr. Mark Palmer joining me after a long time. Good morning, Mr. Palmer.
Hey, Erin. What you saying? You all right?
I miss you.
I miss you, too.
I miss you.
I'm glad to be back.
I miss you. Oh, hold on. Producer's going to come in and adjust the sound in a moment. You guys give us a second. I miss you and your food, Mr. Palmer.
Food coming.
You notice that everything is a little slow this year, right?
It is a little bit, yeah.
Cadet blossoms are just pushing out on the trees. There's some early mangoes. There's still a lot of mangoes still.
Mulberries.
Yes, this is a mulberry year. In fact, yesterday, I touched 4 mulberry trees.
That's
all
nice.
Producing fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah, in different parts of the island.
I'm supposed to.
It'd be good if my dogs didn't eat all the mulberries, though.
What do you mean your dogs eat all the mulberries?
If I don't get up early, they already eat everything on the floor.
Your dogs go to dog school, eh?
They're the healthiest dogs on the planet.
I bet you
So good.
about good nutrition in school. There we go. We're adjusting the mics. Okay, I've got some housekeeping to get through. I also sound a little distant, producer, in my headphones. But let's get going. I have a live read for Sister Dollar Drive. Join us on a day of giving and hope. On a day of giving and hope, the Guardian Media Group and Sister Cancer Support Group are teaming up for a special Dollar Day Drive. Come down to the Nassau Guardian in Oaksfield on Friday, May 31st from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. That's tomorrow. Your contributions can make a huge difference. Every dollar counts in the fight against cancer. Together we can support those in need and fund life-saving research. Be a part of something bigger. Be the change. Donate $1. Change a life. See you there. Guardian Media Group and Sister Cancer Support Group, united for a cause. That is an excellent initiative. I can still hear myself. Good stuff, producer. That's a wonderful initiative, and I'm encouraging everybody to come out and support. Please, please, please. Another housekeeping notice this evening. Today, Thursday, the 30th of May, 2024, the Hannah Hasty Tynes Family Association May General Meeting. May General Meeting will take place at St. John's College tonight, 6 p.m. Come out and get details on the family reunion, how you can participate, learn about our upcoming fundraiser, the HHT Family Jumble Sale, to take place Saturday, the 8th of June at 8 a.m. at Hibiscus Wash House on Hibiscus Street in Farrington Road. HHT, come out, meet your family, get the details for the family reunion, and especially for those people who had this year planned to go to the Ackland's Cascarilla Festival that has been postponed until October, but we call that serendipity, right? When an unfortunate series of events or occurrences turn into something positive. And so let's heal that heartbreak. Come on down to the HHT family reunion, and you could still be with your cousins, and we could still talk about Acklands. Absolutely. Okay, joining me in studio this morning, I have representatives from St. Barnabas Anglican Church. That's on Blue Hill Road and Wolf Road. I'm going to ask my guests to introduce themselves, and they're going to tell us, I guess, first about this wonderful event coming up, and then the reason for the event. It is in celebration of the 95th anniversary of St. Barnabas Church. Good morning.
Good morning, Erin. Good morning, Bahamas.
Absolutely.
I'm Father Roderick Bain, the rector of St. Barnabas Anglican Church, Wolf and Blue Hill Road. We are celebrating this year our 95th anniversary of dedication. We have, of course, always been a very vibrant church, a church that is nestled in the community, and a church that has lots of outreach. So we do hope that all who are out there, all who are listening, all those who were at St. Barnabas, go to St. Barnabas, came to St. Barnabas, went somewhere and catch some draft, come back home and celebrate with us as we celebrate our 95th and as we continue to build a community and spread God's word.
Absolutely. I want to say, if you ever park in St. Barnabas Yard to go to the food store, you must come out and support this event. You are a part of the St. Barnabas family.
They're always doing that, Mom. You're a smart woman.
Yes, like Father Walking said, once you was Anglican, you'll always be an Anglican. If you park here, you have the good fortune of becoming a part of a wonderful, wonderful fellowship and community. It's more than a church. It is a community, and that outreach reaches far beyond the church premises itself.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I am Venus Bonamy. I'm a part of the St. Barnabas organization, and I represent the Christian formation at this time. And our main focus is on this same specific celebration we're about to enter. The year marks 95, and like Father said, the 95th anniversary of Exalting the Divine. And our church has planned a number of events to celebrate. Looking forward to our centenary. That's the 100th year. So we'll be doing some stuff over the next 4 years into the century.
Okay.
So in that vein, we've decided to kick off the bash by having this evening of music on Sunday, the 2nd of June, which actually will introduce all of you to our 95th year. And from there on, you'd only be hearing good things.
Oh, and absolutely. Absolutely. So celebrating 95
years
of
being on that corner of Blue Hill and Wolf Road.
Yeah.
That's 95 years of that.
So it's a community celebration as well.
It is.
Now I have a message for the young people. When I was a children, I had one Grammy. I had 2 Grammys. Some of y'all blessed to have like 3 and 4 Grammys. I had 2 Grammys. One used to give me chocolate and say, hide it, don't let nobody know. The other one used to give us $1 per year on our birthday. So young people, if you've been fortunate to grow up in that tradition, it's your turn now to give back to the church. Young people, for the next 5 years, here's what we could be doing. We can be saving the amount that adds up to the anniversary. So this year, we can be saving $95 to give to the church.
Absolutely.
And next year, we can be saving $96 to give to the church.
Absolutely.
Dear children, y'all could start traditions too.
Right.
And that's how you establish yourself as a part of the community.
Exactly.
Okay, so an evening of heavenly music, Sunday, June the 2nd, 2024, under the patronage of Sir Franklin and Her Excellency Sharon Lady Wilson. Tell us about this event.
It's going to be something that you would never, ever forget. We have got some entertainers, we have some artists, we have gospel music, we have contemporary music. We're going to just enlighten your hearts. When you leave, you're even going to leave with a package. I wouldn't say what it is, but you'll be very blessed.
Listen, they next to a food store. Their package could be blessed. All right. So a range of music. Can you tell us who some of the local performers will be?
Guess what?
Yes.
We've got the Royal Bahamas Police Pop Band in the Anglican Church for this specific event.
Absolutely.
Could you imagine what's going to happen in there? There's going to be an explosion you'll never want to forget.
And you know what I'm most excited about hearing? I'm excited about hearing them cover traditional church songs.
Absolutely.
They're
They're going way back.
They are versatile. Will there be a historic presentation during the celebrations of the 95th anniversary?
We hadn't planned that, but Erin, anything is possible.
Yes.
We have 2 more days in which to finalize everything, and who knows?
Absolutely. See, because while we encouraging and charging the young people to create ways for them to connect and give back, this history is so valuable. And young people, when you hear people in politics talk, right, they are able to connect with audiences because they know the history of the communities that they're speaking in. They know the history and the cultural heritage of the constituents they're going to speak to. So young people, this is a gift to you. I can say, demand it. We want to know the church history. We want to know the people that built the church, that held it together. And the people, we all hear about the heroes, but the unsung heroes, those that stood in the back and ensured that those who were to move forward could do so.
Very true. Very true, Erin. And on that note, let me tell you what else is happening. You may not have the full history of what's going on at the church at this specific event. However, we've got 3 other events planned just shortly after.
Okay.
There's even our mission service.
Yes.
That's going to take place on the 4th, 5th, and 6th. And then our Patronal Festival is on the 9th.
Okay.
And in our Patronal Festival has a history of what our parish is all about. So if you may not get all of it on Sunday,
Right,
the
that's
2nd,
the event to go to for the history.
then yes.
Okay,
the
awesome.
Patronal is there for you.
Absolutely.
And so we're expecting a very grand time during the next week. And of course, we're inviting all of our neighbors, all of our friends, and even the persons who wish to be our friends. We would like to see them come in and take part.
Absolutely.
We're going to have a little questionnaire at the bottom which says, what do you recommend? That means it's going to give us some more information as to how to enlighten our area, how to perform our area, how to invite even others to be a part of our area. So we're really going to be looking into a lot of things.
I mean, this is absolutely fun. In fact, I'm going to tell the young people, St. Barnabas need a TikTok channel.
Well, that is in the making, if I may add.
Absolutely. Okay.
If I can add a little context to all of this, just so we can understand. In our church, we have what we call a Patronal Festival, the feast day of the saint that the church is named after.
Okay.
That is on the 9th of June. And that's really next week, Sunday. So leading up to that, we're starting our patronal celebrations. And the concert will more or less, you say kickoff, will commence all of that celebration. The concert, though, because this is our 95th, our dedication is in October proper. But we're using the whole year, and everything that we do in celebration, we'll kind of paint it in the 95th anniversary. So we're trying our best to accentuate whatever it is that we're good for. We have a world-famous choir. She is the choir director. She's not saying, but St. Barnabas Choir. We have many other choirs that will come.
You all invite St. Anne's Choir, right? Well,
Yes, we have invited all of the churches, actually, our churches.
okay, good. 'Cause I know St. Barnabas is stellar, but St. Anne's. Okay, I just saying.
All right, I understand.
Don't worry, don't mind me, right? Because when I say St. Anne's, then I have to say St. Agnes, and then I have to
Yeah.
say St. Matthew's,
Yeah.
right? And then I have to say St. Margaret's. I can't just call one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and St. Matthew's is where my aunt is the organist.
Okay,
Vivian Francis, that's
absolutely.
my aunt.
Talent.
So we come along.
But there are a number of
Yes.
choirs that will be there, a whole plethora of choirs. So it promises to be a great evening of gospel singing and performance and choirs and a spectacular time.
A love offering will be taken.
There's no charge.
Okay, so the concert is free of charge.
Concert is
but
free.
A love offering will be taken.
Yeah.
I appreciate that greatly. I appreciate that
That's
greatly.
giving back.
Absolutely. Now, little children, I was in church one day and the plate came around and Shorty Boy take 2 cookies out of his package and tried to put the 2 cookies in the tithe tray. And I say, I would take it. I would take, if I said, should I take, I taken it. I taken it. I can tell Pastor bless it because I can eat it.
That's probably all he had. You know?
That's what I'm saying. The most beautiful message.
We'll take what you have.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're having initial week of events to kick off the Road to.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And so June 2nd, Sunday, 7 p.m., St. Barnabas Church, Wolf and Blue Hill Road, an evening of heavenly music under the patronage of Sir Franklin and Her Excellency Sharon Lady Wilson. And on the Sunday,
Yep.
Patronal.
On that Sunday will
The
be
next-
Patronal.
The next Sunday.
Our Patronal Festival. But we have a number of things that we have from the 4th to the 6th.
Okay.
We'll be having mission services, and our mission services will be conducted by Father Dr. Kerry Marcel, and he will preach for 3 nights. On Saturday, we'll have a parish retreat and seminar, which we do invite all the community, everyone to come, really. It is geared towards understanding our times, in particular after the pandemic. We have speakers such as Dr. Richard Adderley, Dr. David Allen, and also Superintendent Skippings from the police. So we're going to kind of combine all those different areas, in particular the psychological, the legal, and the spiritual, to look at our times so that we could glean a better understanding of why we are the way we are post-pandemic and how the church can assist the country, the police, and whoever else to move things forward. Being in the St. Barnabas area, we quite, as I said, nestled in a kind of a hub of many different social ills, and I think the church is necessary at this time, and we must be able to speak in an effective way to our community, at least to effect change in some way. So this seminar is put on just to enable some type of discussion and interaction with our community, and whoever may come, we hope people do come so we can have a good discussion and we can, engage all the professionals here, and perhaps we'll come up with something great. And on Sunday, we'll have the Patronal Festival service at 3 p.m. Our preacher there will be Father D'Angelo Bo from Holy Trinity. It starts at 3. Of course, we'll have a procession around the community. The church will process along with so many others who will come to the service. And it's really called a procession of witness. But that will cap our celebration for the moment. But the next grand time will be in October around the feast of our dedication itself, the historical dates.
Absolutely. I love the range of guests because I think at the root of eradicating crime is evoking behavioral shifts.
Yes.
And faith is intrinsically tied to behavioral practice.
Yep.
And so coming to the spaces that people go to
Yep.
tend to themselves
Yep.
is a great place to speak about these issues. Another thing I want to tell young people in particular who are expectedly in a space of rebellion and rejecting things and looking for new things, is that this issue of lawlessness, right? This issue of lawlessness, it really causes us to come back and re-examine. So I say to young people, you're not following laws primarily because you love the law. You're following laws because you love the Lord.
Right. Well, if I had some time, I would have talked to you about how we become quite the God-optional society. We've optioned God out of a lot of things, and so there's need to come back to making God first and primary and central to a lot of what we do. So faith life will inform everything else, our ethics, social behavior and everything. You know, for those who really believe in their faith life, they can
Absolutely.
actually direct you in a better path.
Yeah,
But
and I
we
thi-
move away from that so much.
And most people, they are focused on that. They are always attempting to walk back to that path. And what are there's so many obstacles that cause people to sort of stumble,
Yep.
that make that path difficult. And this church is supposed to provide a space where people could come and recalibrate,
Yep.
come and refocus.
Yep.
Absolutely. Dear young people, I am excited. This is going to be a wonderful series of events. I hope that you have a lot of presentations from CYM, Christian Youth Movement groups within the various churches. I hear you all. Like, I see St. Barnabas, whenever I go to a meeting, the young dancers are always practicing.
They will be dancing on Sunday night as well.
Good stuff. Good stuff. It'll be awesome. An awesome range of performances, presentations, and genres to be heard. Okay, let's go through the details again, and most importantly, the free of charge love offerings accepted.
Okay. It's Sunday, the 2nd of June, and we are presenting an evening of heavenly music. We're not charging you to come in. We're just asking you to bring a love offering for us, to say thank you for what you're going to be receiving. And I can assure you, you would not be sorry. You would be pleased, and on the note of leaving, you'd have a song in your heart to follow you for the rest of the year. So
Absolutely.
we got it accordingly.
And if you're thinking like I'm thinking, my love offering may be a gallon of lemonade.
I love the lemonade.
Yeah.
We'll translate that into dollars and cents and see how we can work that out.
Man, absolutely. Absolutely. I wouldn't be mad if you sell it $1 a cup, right? Like, whatever works, but
Such as you have.
bring a full heart.
Yes.
And your heart will tell you what to do next. Thank you very much, Ms. Bonamy and Father Bain from St. Barnabas Church as they prepare to celebrate the 95th year of dedication. Starting Sunday, June 2nd, 2024 at 7 p.m. at St. Barnabas Church, Wolf and Blue Hill Road, an evening of heavenly music under the patronage of Sir Franklin and Her Excellency Sharon Lady Wilson. And then on Sunday, the 9th of June, is the Patronal Festival. And these events kick off the walk to October, the formal celebration of the feast of the Saint
Yes.
Barnabas. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I wish I had some mangoes to give you, but if I tell you I ate all, then I'll get in trouble. Some will say the Chichani and the raccoon ate all. And on that note, people, please check your mango trees. We have this new phenomenon where the mangoes are getting riper. They're ripening from the seed outward, where you typically look to see the color to say that it's beginning that process. No, not this year. Check your mangoes, go out and do a test and see the pace at which they're ripening so the raccoons don't get to eat all the mangoes this year. Please and please and please. Thank you so much. And I just a little note, St. Barnabas is accept mangoes as love donation.
Oh, yes.
And mulberry and scarlet plum and dilly and papaya and watermelon and soursop. These are all the things in season. And cherry.
I'll get some crabs for those things.
And crabs. They accept crabs too. Father's Day is coming.
Wait.
Not bad.
But St. Barnabas will accept whatever it is you have to bring in your heart. I want to send a special shout out to all of the congregation and the support staff at St. Barnabas that make it work. And then I want to send a special shout out to all my HHT cousins at St. Barnabas,
Yes,
including
Miss Hannah,
cousin Tira Hannah and her mother, Carol Hannah. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, and see you all tonight at the HHT meeting. You guys have a great
Thank
day.
you.
Producer, let's go to a break, and when we get back from the break, we're talking pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response accord, the Bahamas' official response to this new UN treaty body, and we have a little conversation about a local organization that has raised a petition. We'll get to that after the break. You're on the clock with Erin Greene. Don't go anywhere.
try to rest, but roll with the best. For all your printing needs, there ain't no one better, no. For posters and banners, magazines and flyers, for window decals, greeting cards and newsletters. No job too big and there's no job too small. You name it, we can print it, just give us a call. Let Print Masters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
Join us on a day of giving and hope. The Guardian Media Group and Sister Cancer Support Group are teaming up for a special $1 Day Drive. Come down to the Nassau Guardian on May 31st from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Your contributions will make a huge difference. Every dollar counts in the fight against cancer. And together, we can help support those in need. Be a part of something bigger. Be the change. Donate $1 and change a life.
Love the show? Want to give your support? Become a sponsor today. Call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Join us on a day of giving and hope. The Guardian Media Group and Sister Cancer Support Group are teaming up for a special $1 Day Drive. Come down to the Nassau Guardian on May 31st from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Your contributions will make a huge difference. Every dollar counts in the fight against cancer. And together, we can help support those in need. Be a part of something bigger. Be the change. Donate $1 and change a life.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Welcome back. You're on the clock with Erin Greene. And back in studio with me is Mr. Mark Palmer. Morning, Mr. Palmer.
Good morning, Erin. Some important stuff to talk about.
Absolutely.
These negotiations on the pandemic treaty and the international health regulations, I wonder how many of our listeners know that these are currently being negotiated by our government.
I want to
behind closed doors.
I want to ask you how many cabinet ministers you think know that this is a question put to our country along with all the other countries that are members of the UN.
Well, we have written to all of them, but we haven't had any response. So we've also written to the Attorney General with our concerns, particularly on the question of legality. So we made our present, we made a letter to him. But at the moment, so these negotiations are going on. They're important because the international health regulations, we've actually signed to them in 2005, I believe, or around that date. And they cover, our pandemic preparation and control of those pandemics. But there's another treaty, the Pandemic Treaty, which the WHO is negotiating on. And they only made, these negotiations have been going on for over 2 years. But they only posted them on their website about a month ago. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of rush. There seems to be a big rush to get these things signed, and there's been no public consultation.
Absolutely. So let's start here. Who is the we that you reference?
So this is the Optimist Group.
Okay.
So this is a group of doctors and concerned citizens that advocating for good public health. So public health that is scientifically based, medically citated. We believe in the doctor-patient relationship. We believe in informed consent. And I think we do have a doctor on, I think Dr. Kevin Bethel is on the line, so hopefully he'll be able to come through.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Bethel, you there?
And so the other thing is we prioritize health over profits because, everything is run these days. If we look at pretty much how the world is run, money seems to be the driving force behind public health particularly, and we believe there should be a focus on health rather than profits. And so we are concerned. We've written to Prime Minister, Minister of Health, to try and get an indication of what the government's position is on this. And to date, we haven't really had an answer. We don't know whether we're going to sign to it or not to it. But the pandemic treaty negotiations finished 2 days ago, and they weren't able to reach a consensus. So that has been stayed. But the IHR, the International Health Regulations, there is a group that is still trying to get consensus on that.
Okay. So when you said this process has been going on for roughly
2 to 3 years.
2 to 3 years, absolutely. Yeah. In preparation for this discussion a few months ago, right, I sort of created a little trail, a time trail, right? So on the 3rd of March, 2023, countries begin negotiations on global agreement to protect world from future pandemic emergencies. That's the title of the article that I found. And then we will fast forward to the 17th of June, 2023. Countries set out way forward for continued negotiations on global agreement on pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response. That's the 17th of June, 2023. And then fast forward a bit more, again, like to the 28th of June 23, member states of the World Health Organization have agreed to a global process to draft and negotiate a convention, agreement, or other international instrument under the Constitution of the World Health Organization to strengthen pandemic prevention, preparedness, and response. And I read that, right, because that date, 28th of June, so I'll say to my government, okay, y'all was just talking. You know, y'all was just writing on notepads and doodling. But 28th of June, 23, a formal process had been agreed upon. Has your organization been able to access any documentation?
We have, yeah. But the trouble is, we had to go through FOIA requests to get the information because, when things are not accountable and transparent, that worries me. Now, we're not against public health coordination. That would be crazy to be against that. I think that's a very good thing, particularly through the pandemic that we went through. But we want to make sure that it is not rushed, that it's based on science. We want to actually look at how did these organizations fare during the pandemic, because it's the same organizations that want more power now. Did they do a good job? I think that's, so I don't want to really go into the weeds at this point, but that, basically three issues. Do we want an unelected bureaucratic body impose a one-size-fits-all onto the Bahamian people? We give them a blank check to do that. Do we want that? That's the first thing. Secondly, do we want, did the WHO come out with good recommendations to the pandemic? Did they do a good job? That's the second thing. And then thirdly, we want to make sure, that's really the two main things. And thirdly, what is the rush? Why is there a rush to do this behind closed doors? And is it, in fact, are they following their own guidelines for negotiating these treaties? So those are really the three things. We can talk about the weeds another time.
The second point that you make, that you guys put on the table, a non-elected body making decisions for citizens of a country that they have no jurisdiction technically over.
And melanated individuals who are very different from anywhere else in the world. But it is a one-size-fits-all, and it is vaccine-focused. It doesn't focus on therapeutics, anything. It's profit-driven. If you look at the donors of the WHO, they very much are focused on vaccine technology. That has been the WHO's kind of threat for the last 40 years. We're not against vaccines either, but we're saying have a holistic approach, be transparent, follow your own rules, don't rush it, and let us have a proper debate about it.
And I think one thing that everybody is concerned about, no matter where they fall in this pro-anti-vaccine conversation, is this idea of no legal recourse.
Well, the other big issue we have, with the WHO, I mentioned accountability, transparency. When they created their charter in 1948, they wrote a provision in that all their employees and their acts will not be subject to any litigation. They have complete immunity from prosecution for anything the WHO does. So it's got no accountability, so it can act recklessly, and we can't do anything about that. I think that's something really worth thinking about. That sounds like racketeering to me. If you were going to set up a nonprofit and your big concern was liability for your future action, that is a red flag for me. But I think people need to know that too.
Absolutely. Producer, I can go to the phone line. Good morning, caller.
Ms. Greene, I hope you're doing well.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
From ORG. I don't quite remember what his name is.
No, this is Mr. Mark Palmer.
Mr. Palmer.
Yeah, he's not ORG.
But I did hear him say that this is a rush matter with this pandemic. What do they call it? Treaty?
Accord.
They're two documents. There is a pandemic treaty, which is new, and it's adding a lot of other things like fast tracking, medical procedures, One Health, all these things that weren't in the international health regulations. And then there's the international health regulations that we're a signatory to.
But did I hear you say they have a constitution?
The World Health Organization, as a body, has a constitution that manages or that outlines the operation of the body.
Okay, let me ask this question then. Does that constitution conflict with the Bahamas Constitution?
It's a very good question, because there are sovereignty issues here in terms of our public health. I'll give you an example. In the United States, 46 senators just wrote to the President of the United States precisely on the question that you're mentioning about the conflict of sovereignty. And they've advised the Biden administration not to sign on to these treaties, and they give various reasons for it, but one of them is about the sovereignty of the United States. So this is it's a good question. We don't know the answer because it is quite a technical question.
I can understand that. So has the government of the Bahamas made a position?
Not that we're aware of.
A decision on this?
I have not been able to find, I've not seen, nor have I heard any whisperings or rumblings about a formal, official position being stated, documented, posited, gazetted anywhere.
Okay, fine. Now that's where the problem comes in. We know nothing about this, what the World Health Organization wants to do. It has not reached the masses in the country. We don't know whether it's constitutionally sound, yes or no. Because Article 2 tells me any other law that is inconsistent with this Constitution shall prevail, and the other law, to the extent of its inconsistency, is null and void. And you did say, Mr. Palmer is your name, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. You did say that there is this rush for this prevention of a pandemic. Is that the understanding I got from you?
Yeah, it's there are two legal instruments that will give the WHO a tremendous power, or certain committees within the WHO powers to declare pandemics or health emergencies of international concern. So these are things for which you don't even have to have any evidence, but they can create one of these, and then they can lock us down. They can impose vaccine mandates, impose a lockdown to vaccine policy, which seems to be the official policy now of the WHO. I'm not saying that could be the right thing, but when we look at what the Scottish inquiry found, it found that nothing the British or the Scottish government did actually impacted the pandemic. So, for example, they found no evidence that masking worked, no evidence that social distancing worked, no evidence that tracking and tracing worked, and they found no evidence that the vaccine saved one life. This is not me saying it. This is a Scottish inquiry. You can find the link. So there were a lot of missteps and mistakes made over the during that period, for which we haven't really had answers. For example, the natural immunity that was downplayed, herd immunity. The WHO changed the definition to exclude people who got the disease by infection. So how did they get away with doing something like that? Basic biological fact. They didn't tell us about the risk, that there was a huge difference in risk between children who had like a 0.003% chance of mortality, and then old people with vaccinating pregnant women. There was no clinical data for that. The WHO recommended it in the Bahamas. There were no clinical trials to support that. WHO support that. There were a lot of other things. I can go into the weeds, but social distancing, masking, mandates, vaccine efficiency. Remember how they told us 2 weeks to flatten the curve with lockdowns? They were ready for what, 1 year and a half? Mm-hmm. Then they told us one shot will kill the virus dead. We're now on number 9, right? Now, Bahamians...
more than one.
Yeah, and so a lot of Bahamians, did you ever hear of an experiment called the Milgram experiment? It was done in the 1950s, and it showed that 70% of people will obey orders, even if it goes against their strongly held principles. They found that only 30% of people at some point refused to obey the order, and this was electrocuting a fellow student. Or it was actually an actor, but it was very realistic. And so, most countries had 70-80% of people obeyed the direction to take the vaccine. I think we had about 50%. And then when the boosters came out, a lot of people were like, hang on, they told us it was 1. Now there's a 3rd, then a 4th, and a 5th. And I think it's critical thinking. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, caller.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Let's go to the next call. Good morning, caller.
Yes, Erin and Mr. Palmer. Erin, you look so independent today. Look.
Thank you.
Mr. Palmer, did I hear you say that our former Prime Minister participated in racketeering?
No, he did not say that.
No. I would never say anything like that. No, I'm saying that the WHO, by creating in its constitution a liability shield for all its employees for their actions, sounds a bit like racketeering to me.
Okay,
thank
you.
Yeah, all right. You're welcome.
Right, and I think, again, I'll reiterate that that's a bone of contention for, I think, the majority of people who are navigating this conversation is that there's no recourse for adverse effects experienced after taking the vaccines.
Well, look what happened here. Our government signed a secret agreement. Okay, it was a pandemic, right? Things had to be done. It was an emergency. I understand. But, why don't you just release what that secret agreement was and what it actually said?
Especially if we can't do anything about it, why not just tell us what it is?
I can tell you what, I have seen copies of that agreement, and it says clearly in that agreement that they make no recommendation as to efficacy or side effects. And then our government came out and said it was safe and effective, despite the agreement, which we believe it would have been the same agreement they signed, saying that there were no, they made no such claims. So that, to me, was there something in that agreement that encouraged the government to promote the vaccines as part of that agreement? So these things, I think, we need to know. I don't like secret things. Right. I don't like unaccountability,
And in governance, the state still has to prove why it needs to be a secret.
Yeah.
Good morning, caller.
Ms. Greene, good morning, Mr. Mark Palmer.
Morning.
Yeah, Mr. Mark Palmer, I lost my phone, so I didn't rejoin the group. But you forgot to mention my 2 heroes also. Well, I heard you mention Dr. Kevin Battle. I really would like to hear from him. Also, Dr. Archer and Dr. Leonardo Culmer, right? Mm-hmm. Because I always communicated with them in the group. But the big question for me is, I had asked Dr. Archer to do a show on this a couple of years ago when they first started discussing this under the international health regulations. So in further going down these rabbit holes, the big question for me is, are there any third world countries sitting on this intergovernmental panel discussing under the international health regulations? That's the big question for me. If not, then this is no different than the conference of the Berlin conference, which really is the conference of the Congo.
It's a very good question. I mean, if you go, we have a website, optimistbahamas.org. If you go on there, we do have a section on public health and, what we like, our questions about public health. There were certain letters written by developing countries of that part of the world about that exclusion, about their voice not being heard. It seems to be a Geneva-based...
I love listening to you, but the thing is, I like how you mentioned the model that you were setting. And so what I'm saying is, we have third world leaders who are adhering subserviently, blindly, into all of the parameters of the WHO. But then they didn't see, like Erin mentioned, the really significance of adverse events post-vaccination rollout, since this was really an international clinical trial.
I think it actually...
for me is a clinical trial.
Yeah.
I was on the radio all the while saying, because of the mutagenic capacity, antigenic shift, viral reassortment is the reason why it couldn't be absorbed. Now they come up with these bivalent, trivalent, or polyclonal vaccinations in attempt to suppress different strains or mutations, which I know is really ridiculous. And also, Erin, the real thing is for me, there's no data being collected, as Mr. Palmer said, versus severity of symptoms for vaccinated versus the severity of symptoms of people with natural immunity. All of these things are significant. Even one of the greatest fasts I would like for the group to do is really and truly, where I know a lot of deception lies, is the PCR test. And we can use Dr. Fauci as a reference as it relates to the cycle threshold being 30, when we know that basically the scientific community says anything over 25 really means a negative because of the viral load. And this is what I'm upset about. The fact that the truth is being suppressed is really what keeps my mind unrest. But, of course, a lot of people, one of the things I hate, Mr. Palmer and Erin Greene, is that people will criticize on the radio. I call Howard, and Howard give me a chance to express myself. People in ignorance will criticize you, but what I really hate is when I do make a mistake, let it be, because Mr. Palmer know how the words of science sound like a photophosphorylation, different phosphorylation. They sound similar. They could be dissimilar. But what I'm saying is, you criticize me factually. Let's keep the visceral comments down to ourselves, because it is counterproductive when a fellow sheep fights down another sheep because he's not too deep. Thanks.
Fair enough.
Thank you, 52.
So he does actually make a very good point about...
1 second. Producer, anybody in the Zoom room? All right.
So one of the issues really is, with data. He mentioned the point about data. We have no data at all from the pandemic. We don't know the health outcomes of vaccinated versus unvaccinated people. We don't know the mortality.
When you say no data at all, what do you mean? Do you mean that no data was collected, or...
We don't know whether it was collected, but it's certainly not being published. We've written to the Minister of Health and Wellness asking for mortality rates by vaccination status, serious events, all those things. They completely ignored us. But see, those are the things that if your public health response was good, you would be providing that information, right? So we don't have any data. We don't know.
If your governance were good, you would be providing that data. Whether you did a good job or not, the data would be available to those other key stakeholders that can help you improve.
But what we do know, there is data from other countries. Unfortunately, the data that we have, you can't independently verify it. So it's very sneaky, right? They provide you with data, but they don't give you access to the actual core data, which is again another red flag.
I could be honest with you. In this instance, I want to be careful we don't attribute to malice or malfeasance what could easily be explained by incompetence.
Well, it could be incompetence, but they tend to say it's for corporate. What is the word? For corporate security or whatever for the vaccine manufacturer. But let me finish.
Hold on. I know, but I also want to get to Dr. Bethel.
Oh, is he here?
He's in the Zoom. He's on Zoom. But the point I want to make is my government's not supposed to be quarterbacking. I'm not blocking for corporations established in other jurisdictions. That's not your job. Your job is to block for me. Yeah. Your job is to ensure that I am protected, not other companies. And I just want to put this thing in here because I think this is at the root of the conversation. But mind you, we're not going into the weeds, but this is at the root of it, right? Which is, if a corporation could be acknowledged as a person in law, then that must mean that a person is a corporation too, right? Anyway, producer, let's go to Dr. Bethel. Good morning, Dr. Bethel. Dr. Bethel, you still there? Any other guests? Oh, Dr. Bethel, please unmute your mic. Dr. Bethel? All right, we'll wait for Dr. Bethel to...
So basically sum up, do we want a foreign body that's unelected, bureaucratic, where a lot of the details haven't been fleshed out? They're very, very vague, right? So they leave it to committees to do in the future, which means we're writing a blank check. Do we want that to happen, or do we want to take control of it on the Caribbean level in CARICOM at grassroots, right? Or do we want to just rely on somebody else to tell us what to do? Secondly, did they do a good job the last time? We believe they didn't. You go on our website, we'll give you many examples of where they haven't apologized for missteps.
Right.
And thirdly, why is there a rush? Why is there a rush? I think these are really important things that need to be discussed. And the proof of the pudding is in the eating, right? Ministry of Education, We know they're doing a little bit of a sucky job because every year we get exam results. We don't have exam results for Ministry of Health. We have data which is not forthcoming, right? So we can't tell whether they're a D, an A, an F, or an unclassified.
And here's irony, the Ministry of Education talking about potentially removing exams as a tool for assessment.
I know we don't have much time, but we do have mortality records across the globe, right? And what we found, I found this most shocking article these are from official government sources that showed...
Dr. Bethel?
Yes, I'm here.
There he is. Go on, let him go.
Good morning.
I'll get my video going.
We've got only 2 minutes, Dr. Bethel, I apologize.
Let Andy finish, or Mark speaking, actually, I think, right?
I'm good.
Go on, sir.
Yeah, no, I just sorry with the timing that I wasn't able to join in at the beginning, but I just wanted to give a little perspective from a physician's point of view of what we're facing. We take an oath when we graduate medical school that the client patient, the doctor-patient confidentiality is sacrament. It's almost like confession at a confessional with the priest, and we're supposed to protect that. I mean, with almost protect it with our lives. And what we see with a lot of these measures that are being proposed is a breaking, a forcing that physicians now have to disclose all kinds of information to outside sources, like for just the tracking and the statistics. So there's 300 amendments that they had proposed in this WHO pandemic treaty, and to the international health regulations, and there's so many of them, and this is the watered down version, but they still have provisions in there where countries are not allowed to stockpile medicines that they deem are necessary. So a country cannot determine for themselves that they need to keep on hand extra medicine of anything without the permission from the WHO. If you take the wordage verbatim, why? Why do they need to have that sort of power? Why can't we as physicians decide, you know what, I want to keep on hand a little bit of extra of this medicine just in case? We're not allowed to do that. But then they put in provisions for things like, by law, if we're caught stockpiling a medication, we have to surrender it to the WHO. And not only that, if a country just so happens to have a medicine that another country doesn't have, the WHO can come in and take that medicine, to be, purposed in, for another reason. But it brings up the possibility that they can just basically say, no more of a medicine like ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine. One of the interesting things is that the United States government, for example, has spent more money trying to suppress the distribution of both hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin than they have to try and stop the distribution of fentanyl, which is killing thousands of people. People are dying daily from fentanyl overdoses.
Dr. Bethel, a quick question before we go. The Hippocratic Oath and the Nuremberg Code are two sets of sort of principles or standards that doctors adhere to in their practice. This pandemic accord, to what extent does it contravene or breach principles within both of those codes?
It's completely anathema. It's completely disrupts it. It almost makes it impossible for you to actually practice medicine, in my opinion. We've seen this whole treaty. Although we just got word that the treaty has been sent back to the drawing board because there was enough opposition to it. But interestingly enough, the opposition was more from the point of view of distribution of technology from the countries that are drafting the actual amendments. But it totally disrupts the ability of a physician to practice medicine. We saw it happening real time during the pandemic.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Thank you, sir. I'm so sorry. We're all out of time, and we're all out of our extra period overtime time. Mr. Palmer, hopefully I can invite you and your colleagues back on next week, and we can pick this conversation up again for a full hour and get to some questions. Again, this question on standards, international standards, and are they being breached by this new health culture? And what recourse do countries and citizens have at this point in time? Thank you so much, Dr. Bethel. Thank you, Mr. Palmer. Thank you, Father Bain and Mrs. Bonamy. Thank you, producer. Thank you to the audience. Sorry we couldn't get all the calls in. HHT, see you tonight, St. John's, 6 p.m. Have a great day, Bahamas.